Obama Chief Strategist David Axelrod. David,
Dylan's been getting us ready for this interview.
He's got us riled up right now. Does Barack Obama or John McCain or Harry Reid? Well, wait a second. Harry Reid already said he had no idea what he was doing. Humana. Hey, nobody asked me about basketball. Does anybody out there on Capitol Hill really understand what's going on with these markets and why they crashed?
Well, look, I mean, it's obviously a very complex issue. Obama's been talking to not just Paulson, but his own economic advisors for some time, and he's spoken to this for some time. You know, he made a series of speeches, Joe, warning of the problems that were brewing on Wall Street as a result of kind of irresponsibility in the subprime market, and he's been doing that for some time. But look, let's not kid ourselves. This is a very complex issue. It doesn't lend itself to easy answers, and it's a serious problem.
Pat Buchanan?
Yeah, I was wondering, when is Barack Obama right now getting ready for that big debate? Because a lot of people feel that if he can close the deal there and give the American people a lot of reassurances, a lot of them don't have yet, he can roll on to victory. Is he working on that right now?
Pat, you know he is. I mean, it's obviously, these debates are going to be very important. The first debate is on foreign policy. Obviously, Senator McCain offers himself as an expert on this because of his years in Washington and his experiences there. So, you know, there'll be a lot of eyes on this to see how the two of them handle themselves and how they talk about these issues. But there are real differences on foreign policy, and not just on Iraq, but on our general approach to foreign policy. And I think it'll be a really interesting night.
Hey, David, now that the Cubs have finally dusted off the Brewers and allowed you to concentrate on this election fully until the World Series, I assume, what would be wrong, or have you ever thought of having Barack Obama right now name who would be his Secretary of the Treasury? Who would be his person to govern the economy going forward?
You know, Mike, first of all, let me say I'm not taking the playoffs for granted. So I don't want anybody in New York or Philly or LA to think that we're being arrogant about that. But look, obviously he's given some thought to these issues, but we've got a lot of things in front of us between now and when he would have to make those decisions, and whether he reveals his thinking on that or not, I think is an open question. But I think you can get a sense of the kind of people that he would rely on just by watching, what he does. I mean, today he's meeting with a bunch of economic advisors who've been advising him all along. People like Volcker and Summers and others. He talks to a wide range of people on foreign policy, Republicans and Democrats, whose names you've seen, Powell and Hagel and Lugar, as well as some leading Democratic experts on. So he has a wide range of people who he consults with, and it gives you a sense of the kind of administration that he would have.
Hey, David, what's wrong with the 9/11 Commission? McCain suggested it. Obama mocked it. A 9/11 type commission to talk about this issue that even Harry Reid said is too complex for politicians to figure out themselves.
Well, the solution may be complex, but the causes of this are not. And that's something that seems to escape Senator McCain. I've never seen someone go through such a thorough conversion so quickly, and there's nothing like an impending election, I guess, to train one's mind. But after years, last March he was boasting to the Wall Street Journal that he's always against regulation, and now he's, he couldn't be more for it. The fact is that there were a lot of irresponsible acts. There was a lack of oversight, and Obama's been talking about that for a year and a half, and a lot of folks have been watching Wall Street, have been warning about that. So there's no mystery about what happened. We don't have to go back in history to see what happened. I think that the question is what we do moving forward, and we have to deal with that in real time. There's no time for a commission to study that. We have to move, we have to act, and that's what's happening now.
The great Pete Hamill is with us. The great Pete Hamill, you have a question?
Yes, David, on back to the debate again, do you think there's any possibility that some discussion of things like immigration, getting the gun out of American life, things that are hot-button issues, do you think any of that will come up, or are we going to talk about the 2 or 3 issues that have gone on so far?
Look, Pete, I think that there are 3 debates. I think a whole range of issues will come up during those debates. They're all different formats. The second debate is a town hall meeting. So I think a lot of issues are going to come up, and those may well be a part of it. And I think that, Senator Obama is prepared to have a discussion on any issue about the future of this country. And although you mentioned the immigration issue, Senator McCain may want to have a debate with himself on that one, because he sponsored an immigration bill and then said in a Republican debate that he wouldn't support his own bill. So we could give him 5 minutes on his own, and he can debate himself on that one.
Pat Buchanan?
David, when Sarah Palin had the interview with Charlie Gibson, she startled a lot of folks when she said she would bring Georgia into NATO, and that the attack on Georgia was unprovoked. And Charlie said, but wouldn't that mean in the event of another conflict between Georgia and Russia, the United States would have to go to war with Russia? And she said, perhaps so. Does Barack Obama believe we ought to bring Georgia into NATO and, in effect, give them a war guarantee?
Well, look, those are obviously Georgia is an ally of ours, and we should be supportive of Georgia. But what she said there, and what she said is obviously true, that membership of NATO carries with it certain assurances and guarantees. But to use the language that she used was probably not the best for someone running for that office. We ought to be prudent about the language that we use. We ought to be strongly supportive of Georgia. Senator Obama and Senator Biden talked about, and now there's follow-through on giving them money to rebuild after the Soviets' incursion and so on. But we ought to be careful about the language that we use.
All right. David Axelrod. Thanks.